Chapter 1 of Godfrey Morgan, a Californian Mystery. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Godfrey Morgan, a Californian Mystery. Chapter 1, in which the reader has the opportunity of buying an island in the Pacific Ocean. "An island to sell for cash to the highest bidder," said Dean Felporg, the auctioneer, standing behind his rostrum in the room where the conditions of the singular sale were being noisily discussed. "Island for sale! Island for sale!" repeated in shrill tones again and again Gingras the crier, who was threading his way in and out of the excited crowd closely packed inside the largest saloon in the auction mart at No. 10 Sacramento Street. The crowd consisted not only of a goodly number of Americans from the states of Utah, Oregon, and California, but also of a few Frenchmen, who formed quite a sixth of the population. Mexicans were there enveloped in their serapes, Chinamen in their large-sleeved tunics, pointed shoes, and conical hats, one or two Kanaks from the coast, and even a sprinkling of Blackfeet, Gros Ventres, or Flatheads from the banks of the Trinity River. The scene is in San Francisco, the capital of California, but not at the period when the placer mining fever was raging, from 1849 to 1852. San Francisco was no longer what it had been then, a caravanserai, a terminus, an inn, where for a night there slept the busy men who were hastening to the gold fields west of the Sierra Nevada. At the end of some 20 years the old unknown Yerba Buena had given place to a town unique of its kind, peopled by 100,000 inhabitants, built under the shelter of a couple of hills away from the shore, but stretching off to the farthest heights in the background. A city, in short, which has dethroned Lima, Santiago, Valparaiso, and every other rival, and which the Americans have made the queen of the Pacific, the glory of the western coast. It was the 15th of May, and the weather was still cold. In California, subject as it is to the direct action of the polar currents, the first weeks of this month are somewhat similar to the last weeks of March in Central Europe. But the cold was hardly noticeable in the thick of the auction crowd. The bell, with its incessant clangor, had brought together an enormous throng, and quite a summer temperature caused the drops of perspiration to glisten on the foreheads of the spectators, which the cold outside would soon have solidified. Do not imagine that all these folks had come to the auction room with the intention of buying. I might say that all of them had but come to see. Who was going to be mad enough, even if he were rich enough, to purchase an isle of the Pacific, which the government had in some eccentric moment decided to sell? Would the reserve price ever be reached? Could anybody be found to work up the bidding? If not, it would scarcely be the fault of the public crier, who tried his best to tempt buyers by his shoutings and gestures, and the flowery metaphors of his harangue. People laughed at him, but they did not seem much influenced by him. An island to sell," repeated Gingras. "But not to buy," answered an Irishman, whose pocket did not hold enough to pay for a single pebble. "An island which at the valuation will not fetch $6 an acre," said the auctioneer. "And which won't pay an eighth of a cent," replied a big farmer, who was well acquainted with agricultural speculations. "An isle which measures quite 64 miles round, and has an area of 225,000 acres." "Is it solid on its foundation?" asked the Mexican, an old customer at the liquor bars, whose personal solidity seemed rather doubtful at the moment. "An isle with forests still virgin," repeated the crier, "with prairies, hills, watercourses." "Warranted?" asked a Frenchman, who seemed rather inclined to nibble. "Yes, warranted," added Felporg, much too old at his trade to be moved by the chaff of the public. "For 2 years?" "To the end of the world." "Beyond that?" "A freehold island."
Sample complete. Ready to continue?